and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
It's time for the Sports Blitz, the only live-streamed local sports show in Arkansas, with all the latest on the sports stories that matter to you. Live from the Lions Den Golf Club studio, here are your hosts, Mark Freeman and Weldon Braxton.
Let's call the Hogs. No, it's not. You gotta put the wolf off there. It's game week, folks. It's game week, and we are here on the Sports Blitz inside the Cogswell Motors studios here at RiverValleyLeader.com. Mark Freeman, Brad Caldwell, Maddie Lassiter.
If they were only privy to the conversations before the show.
You know, that preparation that we were going through was something. We've got a whole lot of stuff. If you could see this desk, normally there's maybe one piece of paper. Today I've got the Razorback depth chart. I've got Arkansas Tech news. I've got all the notes. I've got even last week's notes to cover everything, cover all the bases. And we are looking forward to a good week on the Sports Blitz leading up to Thursday night's college football kickoff. Got North Carolina, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt. Man, college football is upon us, and it's the best time of the year. Forget that Christmas song. It's the most wonderful time. It's right now.
Right now, yeah. Of course, I also like the NCAA tournament too, but it's all, it's just all good. You've got a great stretch here for about 9 months where you're going to have good sports, football, and then you got college basketball, and then you're obviously an NBA fan. Blah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, but
it's just because my team's doing well right now. If your Lakers were doing all right, you'd probably be in a different.
I don't like the NBA that much, but it is fun to talk about the Lakers when they're good. But anyway, we've got 9 months of good sports talk to bring to the audience, man. It's going to be good. Excited about this week's game, UL Lafayette. I'll be in the stands frying my booty off. Although I did drive by the other day at right about 3 o'clock. That wasn't on purpose. I wasn't scouting it out, but I drove by about 3 o'clock, and I'm just a little bit below the shade when it starts. So I think, as probably about 30 minutes in, I'll be in the shade, so it'll be all right.
I'm trying to think of here. It's going to be 98 degrees here or something like that. 100 degrees here.
Yeah, but in
on Saturday.
That means it'll be 75.
Yeah, it'll be at least 93.
It'll be about 95, 93, 95.
God,
it's going to be warm.
Stupid weather.
It's going to be warm. Last year, I could go into the experience I had last year was horrible. The worst game experience I've ever had. You know what? For good kicks and giggles, we'll go ahead and tell you. Last year, my wife's family comes up, and they are trying to get tickets. It's FCA day. My wife's involved with FCA there at the school. And anyway, so somehow I got finagled out of having the ticket that I had with the FCA. And so we started looking for me another ticket. Well, her aunt has season tickets, and she has friends that has season tickets. And anyway, I ended up with a friend there. Well, I got with their friend, and their friends are, they're large.
Different.
They're large.
Okay.
And when you sat down on the seats there at Razorback Stadium, I mean, your booty is supposed to go right over the top of the number. That's how it's supposed to work. Well, I mean, you're talking about seats that are about that wide. Well, you can see me as I am. I mean, I'm not a small guy to begin with. So you can just imagine people that are twice my size sitting next to me, and there is literally no room for Jesus between all of us. And it's probably about 100 degrees right at, and I am sweating myself to death. We'll put it that way. And anyway, I'm pretty sure that I offended them later in the game because it was halftime, and people do start filing out about halftime. They go out, do their tailgate thing. They've got TV set up out there, whatever. Well, apparently the people that were in front of me did that. I moved down, and when I moved down, I felt this cool breeze begin to blow upon me because I wasn't getting any air whatsoever. Anyway, it was a horrible, horrible experience, but not as bad as the experience was last year with John L. Smith as the coach.
Well, overall, last year was a year to forget. So go out and buy your tickets to the Razorback game this week. I don't know if there are any available, but with that glowing review of the game experience last year, I think that they'll have no problem selling out. I remember we're going to try to give some tickets away. We'll have to get a hold of some before we promise that. But that's why we're not going to do our score prediction yet today. We're going to save that for Friday. We'll also look at very specific things on Friday. But I want to look at the depth chart as of yesterday. This is what the U of A released and Coach Brett Bielema yesterday, so I'm looking forward to that. as well as previewing college football. But let's start with our Peters Family Living local sports look. We've got high school football starting up not this week, but next. So we're looking forward to that week. I know our sports intern here at the Sports Blitz is going to be going to Pottsville. He's going to have Pottsville, Heber Springs. You're going to get to watch the great Michael Perry start his senior campaign. I'm going to go to Russellville at Morrilton, and that's going to be a good game. We've got a lot of good games coming up on the slate, and we'll preview those starting next week because we don't want to give you a whole week of prep for a game that's next week. So we'll get you some information on that. Also have here that Arkansas Tech is looking to have a scrimmage tomorrow. That's going to be their second scrimmage. They're going to get a little bit more nailed down. It's going to be an intra-squad scrimmage tomorrow at Thone Stadium at Burkle Field. It's going to be kicking off at 6 p.m. It'll be the last public exhibition for the Wonder Boys. They open the regular season Thursday, September 5th at Northwestern Oklahoma. Their first home game, I believe, is week 2. So it's a 120-play scrimmage. If you want to get out and watch Coach Raymond Monica's team take the field for the last time before the season starts, you can get out there and watch them on Tuesday. Raymond Monica says, I'm very excited about the receiving core we have. He says he also feels like we've improved the defensive front from last year. There's a lot of speed coming off the edge. The secondary will be young. Offensive line's getting better every day. He said Luke Halpin is the starter at quarterback right now, and Preston Condor is his backup. Brad, as is always the case with a new coach, there are a lot of things that have to be ironed out in the preseason.
Well, and that's the case, but it seems like with Arkansas Tech, just following them from afar now, their defense has been what has been needed to be shored up. I mean, they would what was it, against Henderson State? Was it last year?
They gave up 70 points
76 points. So they
70
gave up twice. So obviously the defensive side of the ball, you can't win very many games when you're giving up 70 points. And they obviously didn't. It doesn't matter how many points you score. If you score 48 points in a game, you should win. I think they lost one last year where they scored 48. So the defensive side of the ball is where the biggest improvement has to come. So I like what I'm hearing there from Coach Monica. But yes, there's always going to be things that are going to be lined out. And every once in a while, you'll get a new coach in there and you'll catch lightning in a bottle, but most of the time it's an adjustment period, and it'll take a couple years, but I'm sure that Arkansas Tech has made a good decision looking at the background of Coach Monica, and I think he'll do a good job here.
I really like Coach Monica. He seems like a down-to-earth guy that he's going to put in the work. He's going to do what it takes to get good on the defensive side of the ball, but he's also got a good offensive mind, and he's got the coaches around him. He's going to Arkansas Tech traditionally has been pretty good on offense. So he says they've got 75 players in camp who have yet to play an official down as a Wonder Boy. So that's going to be a big learning curve for some of those guys. And speaking of a learning curve, there are 2 incoming freshmen who this press release says have caught Raymond Monica's eye in summer drills. Devarius Rice and Trey Strong both will start as of right now.
Wow.
They're atop the depth chart. He said as freshmen they have really caught his eye. So that's something that you can look forward to, Arkansas Tech fans, as you go out and watch. Now, I'm sure that there are going to be growing pains. I think they're picked 8th out of 11 GAC football schools. So there's going to be some growing pains, but take what you can. And just like what you're going to see with the Razorbacks this year, you're going to see a new coach, a new philosophy, a new system, and you're going to have to glean the positives that you can and take those going forward and know that the team's going to get better.
Right. The good thing, I think, for Arkansas Tech right now is the GAC is not nearly what the Gulf South Conference was as far as football goes. I mean, the West Alabamas and the Valdosas and all that, they don't have to compete with those guys. I mean, they're competing against teams that are a little bit more on their range. Now, of course, while Arkansas Tech was in the GSC, they actually had a whole lot of success there. Really, as far as Arkansas school goes, the most of any Arkansas school. So I look for Arkansas Tech to be able to bounce back here pretty quickly. But again, it's going to be the defensive side of the ball that's going to have to get shored up. When that happens, Arkansas Tech will climb the charts again.
Again, with Arkansas Tech, their first game will be Thursday, September 5th at Northwestern Oklahoma. If you're looking forward to Arkansas Tech sports, go to athletics.atu.edu. Find out all you need to know about Arkansas Tech athletics. Finally, in local sports, Brad, I don't know if you haven't probably seen this. because you haven't been to the site today because you just got here from driving all the way down here from Huntsville. We appreciate you coming. But we were sent a notice that 2 baseball players from the Russellville area are going to be playing in the NYBC All-Star Game today. It's going to be at 2 o'clock on CBS. 2 13-year-olds from Russellville, Peyton Holt and Brock Pounder, is going to be on CBS playing some baseball.
Wow, that's cool. I mean, that's a good experience. We just got to see the Little League World Series yesterday, and anytime you get to play on TV when you're that young, when you're however old, that's really awesome. So congratulations to them.
Well, I'll tell you this, all honesty and no racism whatsoever, but I'm about sick of Japan winning the Little League World Series, all right?
Hey,
come on, America.
Hey, let's throw something out there. I think those kids from Japan were throwing at our kids on purpose.
I didn't watch the game.
Well,
it's baseball.
They hit 4 kids. Now,
Good
Japan
Lord.
is always known for control to begin with. And then in a previous game, and I want to say it was against Panama, a kid almost charged the mound. And here's the deal.
These are 12-year-old kids.
Yes. Now, listen to this, though. This kid from Panama was the best player on the team. Yesterday, Japan hits California's best player twice.
It's like sending a message.
It was exactly.
What doesn't make sense to me is that you've got a team from Chula Vista, California, playing a team from Connecticut to get to a final where they play Japan. Why don't you just get to put the U.S. All-Stars on a team and play Japan? Forget that. If you're going to lose to a dang team that's from a whole country, why do you not get to put your best together?
I don't know if it's necessarily that. I don't know exactly how the Little League works, but I think they actually have to be from the same Little League in Japan. I'm not sure that you're taking the whole country.
Yeah, right. Japan test tube babies, man. They got those kids from 3 years old throwing a baseball.
They do have that going on for sure.
Well, either way, I'm not bitter at all. I don't like baseball, but if I have to watch the Little League World Series on my TV every day for 2 weeks, I'd like for America to win.
Do you like the Little League World Series or College World Series better?
College World Series most of the time, but yeah, I don't like the Little League World Series, but
I kind of like it. I think it's entertaining.
Baseball, I'm sorry.
The thing that I like watching is watch these kids hit it like 7 miles.
Yeah.
I mean, these 12-year-olds step up there. And of course, I say 12. They may have that birth certificate that says I am 12
in
because
crayon.
they've got this. They got this. These kids are like 6'4". There was a kid from Michigan. He was like 6'3", and he weighed like 250 pounds. I'm thinking, really? You're really 12? They go out there and they had to shave between innings because they've got the 5 o'clock shadow.
I was watching some football practice. I actually went to take pictures at not Little League football. What do they call it around here? Pee Wee football. And the coach that I was taking pictures of, or not the coach of the team whose team I was taking pictures of, was telling me about how when he coached Corliss Williamson, they had to carry his birth certificate around because he looked like a grown man.
Right.
And other teams were like, we're not playing against that guy.
Yeah.
Here's his birth certificate. He's a 5th grader. He's bigger than our coach. We're not playing against him. But yeah, so it happens. But yeah, it seems like it happens quite often.
Yeah, in
Little League
League
World Series.
Well, and that's another thing, the coach thing is. I was sitting there watching them, and these kids are going over to talk to the coaches, and the coaches are doing this.
Yeah. You don't do that. All right, we're going to take a break. We've just found breaking news here into rivervalleyleader.com and the Sports Blitz. We've got 2 tickets to give away. We're going to tell you how you can win them right after this.
Over 69 years of treating you like family, Peters Family Living's main goal is customer service. That is their promise to their customers. They offer in-house financing on furniture and appliances and a 30-day money-back guarantee. For a friendly, no-pressure atmosphere, visit Peters Family Living today at 201 North Arkansas Avenue, Russellville. Online at petersfamilyliving.com or call 479-968-2929. Set your sights on savings right now at Honda of Russellville. We're offering our best deals of the year on remaining 2012 Honda ATVs, plus special introductory offers on select new 2013 Honda ATVs, all with 0 down and easy monthly payments with approved credit. Be sure to check out the all-new Honda Foreman 4x4, now stronger, smarter, and harder working. How about a side-by-side? Well, Honda's got you covered with the Big Red. Honda's Big Red offers a proven Honda engine, automotive-style Honda automatic transmission with no belts to slip or break. Come in for a test ride today at Arkansas's legendary Honda dealer, Honda of Russellville.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
Welcome back into the Sports Blitz. Plenty of stuff to cover today, so we're just going to keep rolling. Mark Freeman, Brad Caldwell, Maddie Lassiter inside the CogswellMotors.com studio. CogswellMotors.com. Yeah, that's exactly where we are. You can go there if you want to.
You can find a car on there.
A nice car at Cogswell Motors. Cogswell Motors, you can go to CogswellMotors.com. Well, that's just a free plug for you. You're welcome. Let's look at the wire right quickly. We've got some big news coming across the wire this morning. If you watched First Take, you saw Tracy McGrady retired, and at least, I told Brad, at least 3 people in the world care that Tracy McGrady finally hung it up in America. He's going to go probably to China and play some more.
But he was over there. I mean,
Yeah,
I
he was
think
tearing it up.
I think he's done.
Yeah, well, I mean, who cares?
Jason Williams. Remember Jason Williams?
Which one? The one who killed somebody?
No, the other
Oh,
one.
the white chocolate?
Yes, he's over there playing right now,
Really?
and he's killing it. Remember how bad he was in the NBA?
Oh, yeah.
Once the whole flash and all that stuff was passed, he really didn't have no worth.
Once they figured out that, if we don't give him a layup, he can't shoot.
Pretty much. Well, he's over in China just absolutely killing it. Of course, he can bounce the ball off the floor from 30 feet, and I saw him do this. He bounced it from behind the three-point line, and it was an alley-oop pass. It ended up being an alley-oop pass. Like, he bounced it off the floor, and it ended up being an alley-oop pass for a dunk. It's pretty sweet.
Wow.
Anyway.
So the guy that was guarding him did just catch the ball like I would do?
No,
I
he
think
didn't.
the NBA players were wise to his game. Anyway, Tracy McGrady, he'll make his way to China, I'm sure, and he'll play some more NBA level basketball, professional level basketball there in China. Tiger Woods didn't win at the Barclays. He was one shot back from Adam Scott. Adam Scott shot a 66 to win that tournament there yesterday. So Tiger charged from behind but wasn't able to win it. To me, it doesn't move the needle if it's not in a major. See, I enjoy watching golf in the majors when Tiger is in it.
Right.
But if he's not in there on the weekend, it's just okay.
Well, I mean, it's overplayed. You play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and everything. The only thing they talk about is Tiger. You look at ESPN.
That's all that matters.
It's like Tiger, and then it's everybody else.
It's really all that matters, though.
I guess that's right.
And then, where was I at here? I was on ESPN.com, and NFL news. If you've seen the preseason, man, everybody's going down with injuries. And Kevin Kolb, they're afraid, the Buffalo Bills, are afraid that this concussion that he's received may threaten his career, maybe the career ender.
I found this interesting, that he is suddenly coming up with a career-ending concussion. Now, he has stunk it up in the preseason.
And E.J. Manuel was probably going to start anyway.
And E.J. Manuel, well, I think it basically makes it a lot easier for them to go ahead and say E.J. Manuel's a starter, even though he probably has outplayed him a little bit preseason. Whatever happened to Kolb? You remember when it was Kolb or McNabb? Kolb comes in, he's throwing like for 400 yards and all this stuff, and then all of a sudden, I mean, when they put the pressure on him to actually be the guy, he could not cut the cheese, man.
Yeah, well, Donovan McNabb was done. That was the problem.
And I think
they just wanted to get somebody in there, a fresh, warm body, and the fact that everybody was prepared for Philadelphia with Donovan McNabb made Kolb a little bit more successful.
Well, I think Kolb is too. I mean, I think it's kind of that thing. He can't play on that level anymore, and so if he gets a career-ending concussion, you know what happens? Insurance pays off his contract.
Well, that may be a conspiracy theory. Brad here is telling us how it is. So maybe that's exactly what's happened there.
Maybe Kolb understands that he's not good anymore.
Well, he has to know. And speaking of injuries, for those that were watching the NFL, I guess it was Saturday. Wasn't it Saturday when Mark Sanchez got hurt for the Jets? start Geno Smith. They play him the first 3.5 quarters, and then Mark Sanchez, the 4-year starter, is brought in the fourth quarter by Rex Ryan to run the second team O. Gets hurts his shoulder. They were afraid he broke his collarbone, but he really just strained his shoulder. They say he's day-to-day now. But a lot of people were questioning Rex Ryan. If you watch the post-game press conference, he was just kind of acting a fool there in the post-game press conference, acting indignant about the fact that these guys were even asking these questions of him about starting or playing Mark Sanchez at the end of the game. What do you think about it?
Rex Ryan is a joke.
He's going to be fired.
Oh, yeah. He probably needs to fire himself now and save himself the humiliation because he's horrible. He's a horrible head coach. I know that he did the whole AFC Championship game first 2 years, but you know what? There was a guy that they had named Eric Mangini who was actually a decent coach that coached them before, and he had actually gotten some players in place, but they fired him, brought in Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan takes his players and wins with them, but then when it comes down to it, he has to get his own players in there, and then when that bravado wears off, sounds very similar to what Houston Nutt is in college football. I mean, you come in 2 years, you build them up, you throw these weird and off-the-wall predictions off, just fire them up, and they play off that emotion, but eventually emotion wears out, and I think that's what's happened with the Jets. The emotion has just worn out with Rex Ryan, and he's on his way out. I mean, honestly, I'm not sure he'll make it through the season because I think the Jets at this point look like the worst team in the NFL, maybe other than the Raiders.
Well, watching Rex Ryan, you could tell he could sort of see the writing on the wall because he was very defensive. He was very upset with the questions and the fact, which to an extent I can understand, where he would be like, why do I have to? Why does your opinion? Why should your opinion factor into my decision, and why should I have to tell you anything, Mr. Media Man? So I wouldn't have been all that happy if I were him either. And Brian Billick made a good point on another preseason game he was covering the next day, and he said, these coaches have to go through this gut-wrenching up and down roller coaster during the game, and then 5 minutes after the game they have to go stand in front of these media guys who are just going to grill them. So I understand players and coaches sometimes coming out and saying things that you don't like, and to me, looking at Rex Ryan, I felt bad for him in a way of speaking. But, those stinking autoplay videos will kill you.
Stop.
But Rex Ryan, he's definitely on his last legs. The Jets, he's not going to make it through the season.
I agree with you. I don't see how he can. I don't see where the direction of this team, where it's going. If there was something good going on there, but you can't find anything good right now. Even the draft pick of Geno Smith, he does not look good. We've seen
3 picks in the first half.
Well, we've seen these guys come in from college and they have done very well. But wouldn't it to you throw up a red flag if your team, the team that you drafted this quarterback from, was number 1 in the nation at one point during the year, and then all of a sudden they fell off and barely even made a bowl game? Would that not say something about maybe what this guy was doing leadership-wise, maybe, if nothing else? Dana Holgerson comes out lately and says, we had a leadership hole last year. Yeah, it's not good. I don't think that the Jets did a very good job in drafting Geno Smith. There was a reason he fell to the second round. I don't think at this point, the way he looks, he was not a second-round quarterback.
Well, I mean, obviously hindsight's 20/20, but getting him in the second round didn't seem too terrible to me. If you look at, you talk about teams that started out really high and didn't pan out. Matt Barkley got drafted, and his team was number 1 to start the country, number 1 in the country to start the season. Tyler Wilson, top 10 quarterback, and then he's gone in the 3rd or 4th round, and his team just tanked. So there are a lot of quarterbacks whose teams don't necessarily pan out. So I can't always blame that, but I'm one of those that watching Geno Smith last year, I knew that it was the system. You don't go 7 or 8 games without throwing an interception, throwing 75% completion percentage. And then he also had Tavon Austin, who is pretty much lightning in a bottle. So you understood that was a system thing, that he wasn't going to be that same quarterback, especially in the second half of the season when people figured out what was going on and his numbers dropped off considerably. I wasn't as high on Geno Smith as a lot of people were, but the Jets felt like they got a value with him in the second round.
And they look to be wrong.
Yeah.
At least right now. Of course, it's not really fair for us to go and throw it out there, because there's been plenty of guys that have looked horrible in their first season and then turn around. But at the same time, when you look at where we're at now with football, these guys are coming straight in from college and having an impact because, number one, 15 years ago in high school, these guys would turn around and hand it off, and a lot of times in college, they'd turn around and hand it off. And then when they had to throw it in the pros with better corners, better defensive linemen, better linebackers, whole 9 yards, it made it very hard, and it made the learning curve very steep. Well, now you're getting guys out there that are throwing the ball from the time they start junior high all the way up. They know how to read defenses. They know how to manipulate defenses. So when they come into the NFL, it's not a big learning curve. Well, Geno Smith right now, it's not looking good for him at all.
Well, one thing you have spoken to, Tyler Wilson, Geno Smith, some of these other guys, they didn't necessarily learn how to read a defense the right way. They were put in a position to succeed, which is, what coach would be, not smart to put your quarterback in a position to be able to succeed. But at the end of the day, they're not doing him any favors at the next level. So.
Well, even look at Ryan Mallett. Ryan Mallett's had a decent preseason, but there have been some questions about him and his ability to read defenses as well. His completion percentage is not real high. It's just above 50%, even though he's making some big plays, which he did at Arkansas. Tyler Wilson the same way. So the Bobby Petrino system as far as getting quarterbacks to the NFL,
not very good.
Not a very good one. At least that's what we're seeing.
Well, while we're talking about college football, we might as well just go ahead. It's football week.
Yes, it is.
Kickoff week. You've got Thursday night football. On Wednesday, we'll give you a little bit more detail. But the first game's 5 o'clock on Thursday. I thought, when I saw that, man, let's start. But they're running them back to back on the same channel. So
right.
5 o'clock on Thursday, you're going to have North Carolina and South Carolina. And then following that game, you're going to have Ole Miss and Vanderbilt. Looking forward to watching Jadeveon Clowney. I watched a little it looked like a Heisman campaign video on ESPN.com or on ESPN yesterday, where they were showing all his highlights and they visited with him, and they're trying to early on to get him up there in the discussion for the Heisman Trophy. It feels like ESPN wants anybody but Johnny Manziel.
Yeah. Well, Johnny Manziel's done that to himself. Clowney, they started the Clowney hype when he made that hit against Michigan last year. That was. Basically, he's the greatest. And Mark Richt said he might be the best player in football right now, not just college
any
football.
level.
Yeah. I don't know if I would go that far with him, but he is an incredible talent. He's still a defensive end. Now, don't get me wrong. He obviously affects the defense, but he's going to affect the game in about 1/3 of the way or less than a quarterback will. And to me, the Heisman Trophy is still a quarterback award. It's still a running back award. It's still an offensive award because it's just very hard for a defensive player to get back there and affect a game. The guy could end up having 20 sacks on the year, but does he have more effect on a team than a guy that throws 35 touchdowns? No, he doesn't.
Well, where do you stand on these games Thursday? I've got South Carolina and Ole Miss winning.
Where's the game at Vanderbilt Ole Miss?
I have to look.
Let's take a look at that.
Sure, real quick.
Obviously South Carolina, I think they're head and shoulders above North Carolina. Here's my prediction for this game though. Hog fans are going to watch the South Carolina game and they're not going to look as good as we think they should, and we're going to be like, "Oh, that's a win. We can beat them." blah blah blah. And when the facts of the matter are, you still got to learn. You've got to figure out how to block Clowney. And you've got to be able to get to Connor Shaw, even though Connor Shaw is not a very good quarterback in my opinion. South Carolina hasn't really won offensively. It's been a lot on their defense. The onus has been on their defense for a while now. Their offense has just been good enough to get them through. I think that they'll win. They'll beat North Carolina, although North Carolina looked pretty good last year, going 8-4 last year after a bounce-back season after the Butch Davis debacle that they had there a couple years ago. So I look for them to be pretty good. Larry Fedora, I like him as a head coach. You see the effect that he had leaving Southern Miss.
They didn't win a game.
Ellis Johnson, he found out he wasn't a head coach really quick.
Yeah, 1 year.
Yeah, 0-12, brother, after winning the Conference USA.
Go bye-bye.
That's pretty bad. But I look for South Carolina, and then, man, I'm going to tell you that Vandy Ole Miss game is a toss-up in my opinion. I like the home team in that game, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going on the record as saying Ole Miss is the most overrated team in the SEC this year.
Most overrated team in the SEC. I might go with Texas A&M on that because they're a top 10 team and they probably won't end up there. That's just my thought, though.
Yeah, I agree with you there as far as just being highly rated, but I think a lot of people are throwing their hat in the Ole Miss ring right now.
Yeah.
And I think Ole Miss, right now, number one, they start 3 freshmen. They're coming in and starting 3 freshmen. That's not a good thing. Although Kim Dichie, the defensive end, is going to be unbelievable. I mean, he's the next Davian Clowney. But you remember Clowney as a freshman. He struggles a little bit as a freshman. And then last year, obviously, he came into his own. This year, he'll be unstoppable. And next year, he'll be in the NFL. And it'll be the same track for Kim Dichie. He'll come in this year. He'll learn the college game. He'll learn the SEC. He'll have flashes. Next year, he'll be unstoppable. The next year, he'll be on his way to the NFL.
Ole Miss at Vanderbilt. So
I like Vanderbilt.
I'll take Ole Miss in that one just because I don't believe in Vanderbilt as much. But I'm not a big Ole Miss fan either, so I'd really like for the field to just open up. Maddie says Vanderbilt. I'd like for the field to just collapse.
Of course, I don't look at lines, but just for reference, I bet that game is very close to a pick 'em.
It probably will be, yeah. Just because I feel like Ole Miss would be favored on a neutral field, but it's at Vanderbilt, so it probably would be a pick 'em type game. Hey, it's time for Hog Talk. We'll be back with how you can win 2 tickets to Saturday's game on Friday here in just a moment.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Lions Den Golf Club is now offering a winter golf special to members and guests alike. Get your cart and greens fee covered for just $20. Take Highway 22 west to Bay Ridge or call 479-229-4162 for Lions Den Golf Club.
Over 69 years of treating you like family, Peters Family Living's main goal is customer service. That is their promise to their customers. They offer in-house financing on furniture and appliances and a 30-day money-back guarantee. For a friendly, no-pressure atmosphere, visit Peters Family Living today at 201 North Arkansas Avenue, Russellville. Online at petersfamilyliving.com or call 479-968-2929.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
It's time to look at the Razorbacks depth chart, preseason predictions, just going through a whole bunch of stuff today as the Razorbacks kick off the 2013 schedule with Louisiana Lafayette this Saturday, 3 o'clock at Reynolds Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville. We've got a lot of questions of you today, so if you want to come and get involved in the show, you can call 968-NEWS. It's 968-6397, or you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/RVL News or facebook.com/SportsBlitz.
We don't have to spend a whole lot of time on this, but we were talking about this in the break. Who has a tougher stretch of games here? Arkansas has Rutgers. We'll throw them in there. At Rutgers, A&M, at Florida, South Carolina, at Alabama. Okay? You turn around and you look at Ole Miss's schedule. Now, we've talked about Arkansas' schedule at length and how tough it is. Ole Miss plays Vandy first. They have an off game, basically, play Southeast Missouri. Then they play at Texas, at Alabama, at Auburn, have A&M and LSU to follow at home.
That's much tougher than Arkansas' schedule.
That is unbelievable.
Ole Miss is getting hosed. I didn't even realize that.
That tells you how tough the SEC is right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Especially since there's nothing that they can do about it.
Well,
this is a conference. This is the same division.
Right.
You can't really do anything
Well,
about
and
it.
a lot of times we have to look at schedule to see how a team is going to be. And when you look, I mean, if they lose the Vanderbilt game, they're going to beat Southeast Missouri. They're probably going to get beat at Texas. They're definitely going to get beat at Alabama. And then Auburn might be a toss-up game. You're looking at, if they lose that Vanderbilt game, they're 1-4 to start out, and then they've got A&M and LSU to follow, 1-5, 1-6. You can lose momentum very quickly.
Yeah. Well, Ole Miss probably end up being 2-5 in that stretch, if you ask me. But anyway, well, we've got to look at the expectations for the Razorbacks. But before we do all this Razorback breakdown stuff, we need to let you know we're going to post a story later today at rivervalleyleader.com. We're going to share it on Facebook, and it's going to be your in to how to win 2 tickets to Saturday's Razorback game. All you'll have to do is take this Facebook post that we put up with the information about the tickets, and you'll have to share that on your Facebook wall. You have to make sure that you have liked rivervalleyleader.com's Facebook page, facebook.com/RVL News, and then you share this post, and you are entered to win Friday at about 11 o'clock, probably even before that, about 10 o'clock. We will draw, and, well, we'll wait till noon to draw, and we'll announce right before we come off the air on Friday who wins the tickets, and you'll be able to come get them on Friday afternoon, make your way to Fayetteville on Saturday. So
first game of the Brett Bielema era. I mean,
seriously, it's a hot ticket.
That's definitely, it's going to be a hot ticket. That's for sure. 95 degrees hot. No, that's a really cool thing. You know, I was there for the first game of the Petrino era where Arkansas almost got beat by Western Illinois. It took a miracle for them not to be beaten by Western Illinois. I think this year's Arkansas team is a little bit better than that 2018 that Petrino inherited, and I think that the system that Brett Bielema runs will equate to a little bit quicker success because it's not as tough. It's not as hard to get down. I look for Arkansas to be competitive in a lot of games this year, but I'm going to go ahead and give you a warning now. Those 7-win guys, Matty being one of them, he threw it out there. Wally Hall threw it out there. So, I mean, this is a pretty credible guy as well. He said 7 wins. You know how many games Nick Saban won at Alabama his first year? 7. With a bowl win.
Yeah. They went 6 in the regular season.
They went 6-6. They lost to ULM that year.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's going to be some growing pains. It's just going to happen. Now, you know, Brett Bielema, he keeps going out there and saying, you know, this football team is going to be a little better than everybody expects. I don't know if he's saying that people expect us to be 4-8, 2-9, or 2-10, 3-9. I don't know if he's expecting that or if he's saying, you know, we're better than a 6-6 team, which is a lot of people what they're throwing out there right now.
It's about the schedule to me.
And again, yeah, you know, we talked about that with Ole Miss. Arkansas's got a very tough schedule as well, and that 4-game stretch, and well, you can throw the 5-game stretch in there with at Rutgers, and then you've got Texas A&M, and then you've got Florida, and then you got South Carolina, and then you got Alabama, which you got to travel to Alabama, you got to travel to Florida, and you got to travel to Rutgers. That's a pretty brutal part of the schedule there. Arkansas has to win their first 4 games, I believe, if they have any chance of going to a bowl game whatsoever. And that means that at Rutgers game, they've got to win. And then carry that momentum over against Texas A&M. If they can somehow make the magic happen at that point, then, you know, you're probably a pretty solid bowl team. But even if you start 5-0, that balloon is going to pop. It's still going to pop because that at Florida, South Carolina, at Alabama, those are ridiculously tough games. Maddie and I agree on the fact that I don't like Florida. I don't think they're very good. I don't think they're number 10 in the nation. I don't like their quarterback. I don't like their offense. They almost lost to UL Lafayette last year because they could only manage 7 points through the first 58 minutes of the game on them. Their offense is pathetic. It's horrible. You cannot win with just one side of the football. That's what Florida does right now. They win with one side of the football. Now, they might come out this year and prove me wrong and their offense be much better, but I just don't see Muschamp as that type of coach to even allow the offense. Kind of like Petrino. Petrino didn't even allow the defense to be good.
Yeah,
he didn't want he wanted to prove that his offense could overcome anything, even a bad defense. Muschamp may be the same way. These guys have huge egos. I mean, huge egos. So I look at Florida as a team that Arkansas could beat, but like you said, how many times has Arkansas won the Swamp? They weren't allowed to win in the Swamp in 09.
I remember, and they should have won that game.
They should have.
Tim Tebow gets the extra yard. I remember for the first down on terrible spot, and then the pass interference penalty that should have been on Riley Cooper that was on Arkansas. It was just ridiculous.
Well, that was the second one. The first one, Ramon, I can't remember who was actually attempted for, but Ramon Broadway was in position. But the second one with Cooper, he mauled Andrew Stewart. That was the guy. He mauled him. I mean, Stewart was going to catch the ball in the end zone. Arkansas would have won the game. Of course, we can also attribute this to Tejada, as he missed a couple kicks as well that could have iced the game away. Arkansas had every opportunity to win that game anyway, but yes, they were absolutely hosed in that game.
But, and ifs and buts,
candy and nuts,
Arkansas's never won in Gainesville. It's never happened. And this year, I know that Arkansas is going to be better than what a lot of people have, expected.
We got to get Maddie a mic, man.
But we had him a mic, but he's just too big of a pansy to turn it on and talk. No, I'm just playing. He'll turn it on now as soon as he can get it connected. The schedule's tough. You're not going to beat Alabama.
Right.
I don't think that they're going to beat Texas A&M. Which, they may. I hope they do beat Florida on the road. Ole Miss, that's a toss-up to me. That's your possible
maybe?
seventh. No, no, you're not going to beat South Carolina.
I think South Carolina, number 6, is a tad overrated.
Probably, but if they're top 25, they're better than Arkansas for the most part. Taking off the Razorback colored glasses, I hope that Arkansas wins every single game. When they come in, I will have, except for with Alabama, I will have a measure of hope that Arkansas is going to have a chance to compete in the game.
I agree with you.
But looking from the outside right now, there's 6 games that I'm thinking, okay, Arkansas can win. Those first 4, and then some combination of Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Auburn.
And maybe they can
if
pull
they
out
win all 3 of them, that's 7
Right.
games. That's incredible. If they win all 3 of those games, if they win another one of those games against Florida or Texas A&M, my goodness, I'll be doing
South
backflips.
Carolina.
They're not going. What does Arkansas have this year? They've got young, inexperienced tackles and a new quarterback. And South Carolina's got Jadeveon Clowney.
I'm just saying, South Carolina's a home game. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
it will be more competitive than you think it will. They're not going to come
Just
in
because
and
we'll
just
hold the ball.
wipe the floor with Arkansas.
Well, and that's partially, I believe you're right, because Arkansas is not going to. They're
Not
going to
turn it
hold
over.
the ball. They're not going to turn it over. South Carolina doesn't have a dynamic offense. It's going to be close.
That's probably the one thing that I'm looking forward to more than anything about this year is that we're probably not going to see Arkansas jump off sides 500 times.
Seriously,
we're not going to
false
be.
starts. Thank
We're not
God.
going to be last in turnover margin. Last year, Arkansas was last in the country in turnover margin.
It was pretty
They
bad.
were minus 19.
They were
Are you kidding me?
They were a bad intramural team
It was horrible.
throwing the ball around. Really,
I mean, I hate to just refer back to it, but my goodness, horrible. Jason, it was horrible. It was horrible, was it not?
Jason, what's going on?
What's going on? How y'all doing?
Oh,
Good.
I just figure you're about to hammer me with Brad here, aren't you?
And what was your last comment? I had to. I'm on Ustream right now, so it's kind of I got to listen to it, and then I've got to call in. So
Well, here, let's let you catch up. So don't say a word for like 10 seconds.
No,
right? I'm
here
just kidding.
I'll catch you up. I said Arkansas 6-6. I said there are some games that you're just probably not going to win, and these guys are a little more optimistic than I am, and I'm going to have a measure of hope that Arkansas can win these games. But I'm trying to temper my expectations here, and these guys are trying to get me to go over the edge and say Arkansas is going to win games
Now,
in Florida.
hold on.
Beat South
now,
Carolina.
I just said that number one, Nick Saban won 7 games with a bowl win. I'm not picking Arkansas to win these games. I'm just saying there's a chance that Arkansas could. Now they don't have a chance against Alabama.
It's about to be 3-on-1. Jason, what's up?
No, I agree. I'm agreeing with Mark on this one. Now, Brad, wasn't it last year that you told me Arkansas was going to go undefeated and win the national championship or something like
Oh
that?
God, are you kidding me? Are we really going there?
Did you say that?
No,
Did you say that?
don't. I think I did pick like 11-1, but I was also not alone in my pick.
I think I picked 10.
I was not alone in my
I told
pick
you we'd
last
be
year.
lucky if we won 9 or 10 last year.
Well,
Man.
and you were right, but I mean, who else was picking? You were out there on that island by yourself, buddy. You were
Well-
out there on that one by yourself because there were experts that were picking Arkansas to win the national championship last year.
Yeah, Bino Cook's
Dead.
God rest his
He's dead.
soul.
Go ahead.
Anyway, Jason, what's up now?
Man, I think we'll win 6. I'm with Mark. I think we'll win 6 in the regular season.
You've seen
and win
my
the bowl
prediction.
game. I'm saying 7 and 6 this year.
You've seen my
Yeah.
prediction.
So you're saying a bowl win will get them to 7?
Yeah, bowl win will give us 7.
I would go out on the limb and just tell you what my prediction is for this year, but we can't because that's saved for Friday. But I'll just say that I'm pretty much in agreement with you.
Okay. Now, the first 4 they've got to win.
Yes.
And they have to win those games. And then my other ones is going to be Auburn and Mississippi State.
Yeah, but are you not a little bit more optimistic in the fact that Arkansas is not going to beat itself this year?
Oh, yes, very much so. I think we'll be in every game.
I agree.
Just
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I don't think we'll get blown out this year. And when I say blown out, I mean, it won't be 52-0. We might get beat, say Alabama, for example, or Texas A&M. It might be, 38-21 or something like that. But I think we'll be in every game going in probably the fourth quarter.
58-10 Texas A&M last year. 52-0 Alabama last year.
I remember.
45-17 Mississippi State last year.
I don't even remember that game because I was done by then. I was just like, I watched, but I was.
I just
mad.
went back. I went back in time to these places. I was with Jason at that Alabama game when we literally walked out with like 2 minutes into the third quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know because I was watching the game at home and we were grilling out and having a good old time and shut the game off at halftime. I was done with that one.
The stretch there that we had last year where we got pounded so much. 2008 we had a similar stretch there where we got beat at Texas like 52-10, and that was 52-3 for the longest time because they were merciful. Then I think Alabama hammered us 49-0 that day, and then or 49-7 something like that, and then. Florida comes in, and Arkansas shows a few glimmers of hope in that game. I wonder if we're going to see a little bit of that this year where we might get handed to us 1 or 2 times, but, as the season rolls on, we'll get better and better. And by the end of the year, we'll be competitive and be competitive with a team like LSU. Arkansas is always competitive with LSU.
Yeah.
I mean, last year, John L. Smith made stupid decisions, which, I mean, that should go without saying that he made stupid decisions. But he made stupid decisions. Arkansas could have won that ball game.
Well, there's no question about it. Jason, before we let you go, we're looking at the depth chart here. Is there anything, I know there are a lot of injuries and a lot of young folks that are going to have to play. Anything really jump out to you about the depth chart that you've seen so far?
Man, the one thing that really worries me is a middle linebacker.
Yeah.
And everybody keeps saying how good Austin Jones is doing, but he is a former walk-on, and then you got backing him up as a true freshman. Which Brooks Ellis, I think he's going to be a heck of a linebacker in time. But, man, it's just hard for true freshmen to make an impact in the SEC unless you're just, a top 10 player overall in the country. But that's probably the spot that worries me the most. And then another thing that stood out to me was everybody was keep talking about Jared Collins was going to be the starting cornerback opposite of Tevin Mitchell, which shows Will Hines is now the starter. And I think that's great, too, because I think Will Hines – playing last year as a true freshman really helped him build confidence towards this year.
I think that was the perfect example, Brad, for Will Hines, that sit him behind somebody on the depth chart just to motivate him, because everybody, in this office expected that Will Hines was going to be the guy who would line up opposite Tevin Mitchell. There was never a question that Tevin Mitchell would be the other corner. Yeah,
and you look at Will Hines, and he looks the part, and right now, where Arkansas's at, they need some guys to look the part. And, I mean, he's a 6'1" corner. He's shown that he had ability last year. I do agree it was a lot of a motivational ploy there. I think Arkansas is a little bit deeper in the secondary, Jason. I agree with you on the linebackers. I mean, when you look at the linebacking core, there is nobody that jumps off the page at all.
Well, really, Otha Peters and A.J. Turner were the two guys that I hung my hat on. Like, these guys are going to make a big difference in the upcoming year. And you look at the two deep, and neither one of them are anywhere to be found. I know they're dealing with injuries, and Otha Peters has kind of I don't know if he's necessarily found himself in the doghouse or if he's still a little dinged up, but A.J. Turner with the wrist. The guys that I was looking forward to watching play in the linebacking core for the Razorbacks are not going to be able to be the guys this year. But you do have Braylon Mitchell starting at strong linebacker there, 6'3", 230. You mentioned Austin Jones starting at middle linebacker. He's 6'2", 237. And then Jarrett Lake, who was for 3 years talked about how great he was coming out of high school. Oklahoma wanted him. Arkansas got him. 6'3", 235, senior at the will linebacker. I'm looking forward to seeing how Arkansas and Chris Ash is able to put together a good defensive front. Man, the defensive line is going to be really good. I think that's going to be the strength of the team overall. But the linebacking core, to me, is the one that I'll be watching the most this weekend. So.
Yeah, you're talking about Otha Peters. He's out with a broken arm.
Yeah.
That's why he's probably not on the
That's
depth chart. And Martrell Spate, man, I'm really expecting him to do big things. I think he'll be starting by SEC play, and I think once he gets on the field, he'll be starting. You won't be able to get him off.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, they've talked very well. In fact, I'm actually kind of surprised that he didn't come out as the number one linebacker because they've talked so highly of him. But sometimes you don't understand what football coaches do. They just do
these
it.
guys are all going to get on the field anyway. So
Sure.
I'm sure that Martrell Spate's going to spate some folks this year. They're going to get spated. That's the new thing there on the hill. All right, we got to hit a break. We got plenty of stuff left to cover, but we don't have a whole lot of time. Jason, thanks for calling, bud.
I appreciate it.
Over 69 years of treating you like family, Peters Family Living's main goal is customer service. That is their promise to their customers. They offer in-house financing on furniture and appliances and a 30-day money-back guarantee. For a friendly, no-pressure atmosphere, visit Peters Family Living today at 201 North Arkansas Avenue, Russellville, online at petersfamilyliving.com or call 479-968-2929. Set your sights on savings right now at Honda of Russellville. We're offering our best deals of the year on remaining 2012 Honda ATVs, plus special introductory offers on select new 2013 Honda ATVs, all with zero down and easy monthly payments with approved credit. Be sure to check out the all-new Honda Foreman 4x4, now stronger, smarter, and harder working. How about a side-by-side? Well, Honda's got you covered with the Big Red. Honda's Big Red offers a proven Honda engine, automotive-style Honda automatic transmission with no belts to slip or break. Come in for a test ride today at Arkansas's legendary Honda dealer, Honda of Russellville.
Lions Den Golf Club is now offering a winter golf special to members and guests alike. Get your cart and greens feet covered for just $20. Take Highway 22 west to Bay Ridge or call 479-229-4162 for Lions Den Golf Club.
We're going to quickly run through the Arkansas Razorback depth chart coming up for Saturday's game with Louisiana Lafayette. We'll also look a little bit at Louisiana Lafayette. Know your enemy. And Arkansas is going to take on the Ragin' Cajuns on Saturday. But before we find out what they've got, look at the depth chart that was released yesterday for the Razorbacks by Coach Brett Bielema. Obviously, at starting quarterback, you knew Brandon Allen was going to be the guy when Brandon Mitchell transferred, so that's no surprise. You knew Jonathan Williams was going to be the running back of choice, and he's going to start. Alex Collins will back him up. Fullback, Kiero Small, everybody knew that was coming. Patrick Arends is going to back him up. The offensive line positions were up for debate for a couple weeks. We talked last week about the tackle positions and how freshmen were leading the charge in that scrimmage, the 14-play drive that led to a touchdown. The freshmen were the ones who were the tackles on that drive. But starting at left tackle, you've got David Hurd backed up by the freshman, Dan Skipper. At right tackle, you've got Grady Ollison, who's backed up by the mammoth Denver Kirkland, 6'5", 345. And then at the guard positions, you've got Mitch Smothers backed up by Austin Beck, Bray Cook backed up by Cordell Boyd, and then obviously at center, Travis Swanson. So the offensive line, I don't know who's going to end up being the guys there, but you've got some big pieces there that Brett Bielema wants to work in.
Well, just look at the size. I mean, all around. Is there a guy under 300 pounds listed on that depth chart? Too deep. Anybody?
That's what?
Under 300.
That's under 300. No, 305 is the smallest one I see.
305. Okay. That's a big change, number one. Arkansas has usually had a guy that would be 285, 290, 295. Okay.
Yep.
So that's a huge change right there. You were talking about the freshmen. These guys, are going to take over sooner than later, whether it's going to be at the end of this year or whether it's going to be next year. But when you look at a guy like Denver Kirkland and even Dan Skipper, these guys look like Alabama-type linemen.
Yep.
And Arkansas don't have very many of those guys. You also look at like Bray Cook and Mitch Smothers. Both of those guys were All-American linemen. Okay, then you've got Swanson, who is a college All-American lineman. That's, it's not a bad trio there. The tackles, David Hurd was a third-team SEC prediction. Now, I don't know really where they got that because, we were talking about his starting position was up in the air. But I think all around the offensive line is going to be better. It has to be. It has to be better than what it was because it was horrible last year.
Yeah, well, looking at with all the injuries that have happened and been sustained on the wide receiving core, Julian Horton and Javonte Herndon, we knew they were going to be in the mix, but they've by default taken the top spots in the wide receivers core. And then with the injury to Austin Tate there at tight end, you've got Mitchell Lowen, who is starting right now atop the depth chart. Hunter Henry, the talented freshman, everything in high school at Pulaski Academy, is backing him up at tight end. Then Jeremy Sprinkle is there listed as or for the second position at tight end. And then we move over to the defensive side. You've got Chris Smith and Trey Flowers at the defensive ends. Knew that was going to be set in stone. Robert Thomas, you mentioned him a moment ago, finally coming into his own there at tackle. Byron Jones, the defensive line to me is the strength of the team. We talked about the linebackers and the defensive backs. We talked about the corners, I guess. Rohan Gaines and TQ Coleman will be there at strong safety with Rohan Gaines getting the start. And then Eric Bennett takes the free safety job. I'm looking for a big improvement from the secondary this year. And like I've said jokingly, if the Arkansas will ever find a cornerback or a safety who will know where the football is, I'll be in heaven.
The first time that Louisiana Lafayette throws a ball and Arkansas actually looks back at the ball, I'm pretty sure they're going to get a standing O from the crowd.
Seriously.
Even if they complete the pass, because it's been so bad for so long where Arkansas D-backs just look completely and totally lost. I mean, Arkansas had a 5-star guy at cornerback.
Darius Winston.
Stars. You don't miss like they did on these 5-star guys. And somehow Arkansas was unable to develop Darius Winston into being the cornerback that maybe he could have been if he had went other places. Now, he was probably overrated at that 5-star position, but you just don't see Arkansas move too far, or you don't see people move too far like they've missed on Winston as being a 5-star. I look for Arkansas secondary. I said this already, that Arkansas secondary will be much improved from last year, I believe.
I feel like exactly the same. Looking at players to watch, we'll get more into this on Friday. Even Wednesday, we'll talk a little bit more about this. I found it interesting that Russellville's own Zach Hawker is going to take all kicking duties. He's going to kick off, he's going to punt, he's going to kick, place kicks. So that's going to be an interesting turn for him because I thought this Erwin Hill, kicker, the Australian kicker who can kick with both feet, was going to be the guy who was going to come in.
Sure.
Isn't he a JUCO guy?
He is.
Yeah, he's a JUCO, and he's not going to get the job there starting out. That's kind of crazy. Maybe they'll work him in at punter. But I also found it interesting looking at who's going to – I always look at who's going to return punts and kicks. And you've got Eric Hawkins listed as a kickoff returner and Javonte Herndon as the punt returner.
Well, Hawkins is one of the fastest guys on the team. Herndon is a guy that punt returner is going to catch the football. I mean, it's pretty much
a punt catcher. He's a Peyton Hillis, huh?
I don't know if he's that bad, but Peyton, man, that was bad. But no, I believe he'll be one of those guys that will be able to catch the football coming at him. Punt return is one of the bravest positions that you have to play in football. So they had to stick a guy that was a little bit more experienced. I really like the move with Eric Hawkins there.
He can fly.
He's fast, and I like the fact that he's actually able to contribute now. Some guys that are not listed on there that I think we might see before the end of the year make a difference. Drew Morgan's one of those guys that they've been talking about, and he's probably a third wide receiver listed on there somewhere. Melvinson Hartsfield as well. Then, we've really got a good stable of running backs as well that can make a difference. They're all going to get a chance, I'm sure, by the end of the year to carry the ball a little bit, so you'll see those guys make a difference. And like we said, we talked about the offensive linemen, the freshman kids. I mean, I don't know if you can keep him out of the lineup for the whole year.
Yeah. What do you expect from guys like Alex Collins? We'll look at that on Wednesday. Do you think you're going to get anything from Drew Morgan? What do you expect coming into this season? We'd be interested to hear from you today. Well, I guess on Wednesday. We are out of time for today. Did find this interesting nugget that Maddie's father sent in. He said he found this interesting. The last 3 times Arkansas has won only 4 games was 94, 97, and 2005. The following season, in each case, the Razorbacks won or tied for the Western Division Championship and twice played in the SEC Championship game. Is it destiny, folks, that
No.
Arkansas will play in the SEC Championship game? I love the fervor. I love the positivity.
You know, every year when your team is 0-0, you have the chance to win the national championship.
My friend Dustin Zeeler, every year I'll ask him, who's going to win the championship? The Hogs are going 12-0. It's just the way he said. It's just the way everybody starts. And I believe the Dallas Cowboys have a chance to win the Super Bowl until the first time the offensive line olays the defensive line and the running back gets his face broken off. So I feel like the Arkansas is going to be in every game, like you guys were saying, for the most part. And I do still feel like 6 wins is a good season.
I agree. I love the optimism that we're getting from our head coach, though. So, we may be surprised by the time it's all said and done.
We'll see. That's the beauty of football season. We'll talk more about the depth chart, what we expect. We'll get your score predictions and much more this week on the Sports Blitz. We appreciate you joining us today. For Maddie and Brad, I'm Mark. So long. We'll see you at 11 o'clock on Wednesday.